Hello, third grade, and welcome to Text Structure Day 2. Today we're going to be looking at problem and solution. Before we get going, we're going to review the ones that we have already looked at. Now on Monday, we looked at chronological and sequence. Remember, chronological is telling us the order in which events occur. So that would be first, second, next. And sequence is steps in a process. On your class kick, you will have to choose three clue words that you might look for inside a chronological or a sequence text to determine if it is that structure. Remember, these are transition words, and then we have years and dates. Let's go ahead and begin with problem and solution. As we're going through writing the purpose in the clue words, please follow along on your class kick with me. So the purpose, the reason an author would write a problem and solution text would be to provide a problem and describe how it can be or is solved. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to type this out. Some clue words we can look for in a problem and solution text is, of course, problem. We can look for solution. We can look for resolution. One of our vocab words this quarter is resolve or dilemma. That's another word for problem. For problem and solution, we will be relying mostly on the context. So that means what the story means and what it's telling us, then the clue words. After you have this typed out, you may push play and then continue. As we are going through this passage, please make sure that you are typing along with me and highlighting any of our clue words. At the top, this is a problem and solution text. Problem and solution. Go ahead and type that up at the top. And the purpose, the reason an author would write a passage using problem and solution would be to present a problem and something that can be done to solve it. Remember, solve is another word for fix or correct. Pause the video so you can type that out. Get your highlighting tool ready. And let's go ahead and begin. Dressing up to save pandas. To help boost the wild panda population, China launched its Captive Panda Wild Training Project. Panda cubs born in captivity would be trained to survive in the wild. So as I'm reading through this, I'm going to be thinking about what the problem is. Living in a nature reserve, the young panda would learn how to find food, water, and shelter, identify and avoid predators, adapt to weather conditions, and climb trees. After 2 to 3 years of training, the panda would be released into the wild. Wild-born pandas have an instinctual fear of people. They hide, run away, or climb trees when they see humans. It was determined that for the best chance of survival, the cubs would have no contact with humans. Its captive pandas were raised around humans. They wouldn't develop this natural fear. and they'd be really easy targets for poachers. Poachers is another word for hunters. Conservationists faced a dilemma. Oh, that's one of our clue words. Highlight dilemma. That's another word for problem. And it tells us right after that. How could they oversee the cubs' wilderness training and not expose the bears to humans? So they're trying to raise these bears without having them interact with people. They developed a unique solution. That's another key word. They'd wear panda costumes. That way, pandas would never see a human. However, there was another issue. Pandas have a keen sense of smell. Keen is another word for good. Humans would need to mask their scent as well. To hide their human smell, they'd smear their costumes with panda droppings and urine. The Captive Panda Wild Training Project have been a success since 2012. 1 to 2 captive-born pandas have been released into the wild every year. So we saw our clue words, dilemma and solution, and highlighted that. I also highlighted my problem. When you're trying to determine if a passage is a problem and solution, this is what you can ask yourself. Type this along with me. Is the author presenting a problem and solution to the reader? Go ahead and pause the video to type that out. Is the author presenting a problem and solution to the reader? If it is telling you an issue and how to fix it, that would be a problem and solution text structure. On the next page, we're going to look at an example, a graphic of how we could show a problem and solution. Please follow along with me. In this example, we would fill in the problem. The problem was, and there were actually 2 problems and solutions in here, that pandas were getting poached and that they didn't want them to be in contact with humans. So that's the one we're going to use because that's what we highlighted. So type this out with me. They did not want pandas to be exposed to humans. That was the problem. So they were thinking, what could they do so that they would not be exposed to humans? And if you remember, their solution was something a little interesting. Their solution was to wear a panda costume and put urine and droppings to hide the scent. Pause the video so you can type that out. So I want you to imagine that for a second. If you were in charge of raising some pandas at a zoo and they never wanted them to be exposed to humans, then you would put on a panda costume and pour pee and poop all over you before you went in there? That's kind of crazy. So let's explain how this solution solved the problem. How did it solve the problem? Well, they didn't want them to know that they were humans, so they used panda droppings and urine to cover their scent. Remember, when we are answering questions, we restate the question. This solution solved the problem because, pause the video so you can type this out. Solve the problem because the pandas would think they were also pandas. After you've written this out, I want you to type in 2 words that you would look for in a problem and solution text. What are 2 words that you would look for in a problem and solution text? And finally, what is the author's main purpose for writing this passage? Why did they write it? Who did they write it for? I want you to make a guess. Make sure that you restate your question. The author's main purpose for writing this passage is, and then write your guess. Once you are finished with both of these pages, then you can move on to the next reading activity.